Welcome to this small demo of GeoPressureViz, where we'll explore a little bit what the app can show you and how to use it. So essentially the app is composed of these two panels, the top one being the map with the trajectory and every stationary period that you could see as a different color, the circle being proportional to the duration. You can also hover to see the duration displayed. And then in the bottom, the pressure time series shown as this gray line. And really the point of the app is to make two of these panels interact together. And so, if you switch to the stationary period view here, you can basically select one stationary period at the time using this drop-down menu or the right or left arrow here to move. And for each of them, essentially you could see then the previous flight, in this case yellow, with some statistic here, and the next one in gray here. The circle here indicate the flight distance that the bird would have flown from the previous stationary period, so kind of assuming this was the position before and that's the position after and where it come from. And so the position should be kind of in between these two, and you can actually change this radius a little bit if you want to, but generally around 40 km/h is a good indication without excessive wind support. And finally, in the background, you can see the likelihood map that you could switch. Here is only pressure, so you can see how pressure evolved, as well as light, and the two of them together. And really during the labeling process, for instance, this app is very useful in order to compare the probability map of pressure of light together with this flight distance. And your goal there will be to build a trajectory that makes sense, and we'll explore that in a different video. What's really nice with this app also is you've seen that the pressure time series, we haven't talked about it, is also changing as you move stationary period. It will show you exactly the pressure at that stationary period here, the pressure measurement, and you can query for that pressure exactly. You can query for that stationary period the pressure of area 5 at that location for that period. And then the idea is to compare the two of them, and what we expect is that the two of them are matching really well. If they're not matching, for instance, if we change position here and we query, then we expect that the pressure will not be matching. And this again can help you also navigate the labeling to know, whether this is something to label out because it's outside of what we expect from the bird, or whether there's a different process happening. And really here, the idea is you can explore different things and try out different possibility and figure out which one is the most likely or which one makes sense. So generally here we're trying to combine all of that together in a coherent path. And so for instance, if I go back to that, we saw these dots were the default path, which doesn't really take into account all the information we have. It just takes each stationary period independently is defining the position here. But actually, if we looked at them, so this is from stationary period 11 all the way to 18 here, you see it's going up and down. That feels very strange. So we'll explore from stationary period 12, and we'll see that basically here, this is an artifact because pressure is not really telling us anything. We don't really know where the bird is. And light also is not very informative. And you see that this flight distance are very unlikely. So now we'll try to see, even if it went north into, possible, you see that this is very unlikely. And so what is way more likely is that the bird went south here and then somewhere there, and you see that the match of pressure is not great, but this is a very short stationary period, so that's possible. And then here is almost no flight. You see the flight distance is very small. Typically this is a less than an hour flight, so it's essentially on the map is the same location. And here again a flight, so maybe more towards somewhere here. Last one there. And here we arrive at a very long stationary period that we have quite a lot of confidence in, which is the next one here. You see a very long one where we know that the bird was here. And so now we've managed to get something more likely in terms of our trajectory. And when we look back up, it makes a lot more sense that, this is the trajectory, and this can help us also navigate and label the pressure. And we can also check different background map if in case you want to see the habitat of the bird. And well, this is a hoopoe, but you could kind of also try to explore whether habitat is matching within that area. And finally, if you're looking for geographic boundary or the name of the places that usually I don't always know all the exact limit of all this country, you could use this layout.